Kneel, or I'll throw you out myself. The voice sliced through the polished air of Charleston's famed Bayview Grill, where the clink of crystal and murmured conversation had been the evening's soundtrack. Heads turned instantly. Jamal Brooks, medium brown skin, plain dark shirt, and calm posture, sat alone at a corner table near the window, a plate of perfectly seared ribeye cooling before him. The man standing over him, a tall white manager with slick back hair, a crimson silk tie, and an expression sharpened by years of entitlement, leaned forward with both hands on the tablecloth. The scent of his cologne mingled with the aroma of butter and garlic in the air. Around them, forks froze mid-air, wine glasses halted halfway to lips. A few diners instinctively angled their phones to record. Jamal's eyes lowered just enough to catch the gold glint of the manager's name tag before drifting back up. His right forearm rested casually on the table, the edge of a Navy SEAL trident tattoo visible beneath his rolled-up sleeve. He set his knife down gently, the soft clink seeming louder than the distant jazz from the corner piano. "You people don't walk in here like you own it," the manager said, his voice loud enough to carry. Someone near the bar chuckled, a dry, knowing sound. Jamal's jaw flexed, his gaze steady. The dining room didn't know yet, none of them knew, that the man they were watching had faced more dangerous rooms than this one. And that tonight, dessert might come with a side of justice. The tension swelled like a held breath. The moment Jamal rose, the manager stepped closer, cutting off his path with a polished shoe planted squarely in front of him. Two waiters emerged from opposite sides, both wearing starched white shirts and identical smirks, their arms folded as if waiting for the inevitable. The low hum of conversation vanished. All that remained was the faint hiss from the open kitchen door and the steady rhythm of Jamal's breathing. "On your knees, show some respect," the manager repeated, pressing a palm down hard on Jamal's shoulder. The force made the linen ripple, sent a ripple through the diner's nerves. Jamal's muscles coiled beneath the cotton of his shirt, but he didn't resist, yet. From the nearest table came a whisper, "Does he even have a reservation?" Another voice muttered, "Probably walked in off the street." A passing waiter deliberately nudged Jamal's plate with his elbow. The plate spun, clattering to the floor, steak and sauce splashing against the leather of Jamal's shoe. The laughter from the waiters was soft, but pointed. Jamal's eyes didn't waver. In his mind, the scene shifted, heat, sand, and the metallic taste of adrenaline from tours overseas. Orders barked over gunfire. The weight of brothers depending on his steadiness. The man in front of him had no idea he was pressing against a wall built to withstand fire. "Do it now," the manager barked, shoving again. Somewhere behind, a woman's voice trembled, "Is someone going to stop this?" No one moved. That was fine. Jamal's words were better saved for a moment when no one could look away. The shove became a grab, fingers digging into Jamal's forearm like claws. His other hand shot up, locking around the man's wrist with surgical precision. The manager froze mid-push, eyes widening. A ripple of gasps broke the stillness. Jamal's pivot was swift but economical, rotating the man's arm outward until the crimson tie swung forward and the manager's knee buckled, hitting the floor with an audible thud. The tablecloth swayed from the movement. One waiter lunged in, Jamal shifted, his shoulder meeting the man's chest and redirecting his momentum straight into an empty chair. The second waiter tried from behind, but Jamal's heel stepped back into his shin, sending him stumbling into a table of startled guests. "You should have asked who I was before you touched me," Jamal said, his voice low yet carrying to every corner. From his pocket, he produced a small leather wallet, flipping it open to reveal military ID gleaming under the pendant lights. "Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy SEALs. I've led teams through firefights and stormed ships in open seas. You think I can't handle a dining room?" The words landed heavy, settling into the stunned silence. Diners craned forward, their phones now raised higher. The manager's face flushed deep red, a bead of sweat trailing down his temple. The balance of power in the room shifted palpably, every eye now fixed on the man kneeling, his arrogance bleeding away under the weight of the truth. The double doors near the entrance burst open, and a uniformed security guard stepped in, radio crackling at his shoulder. His stride was purposeful, but when his eyes landed on Jamal's ID, something in his demeanor changed instantly. "Sir," he said respectfully to Jamal, "we've got this." He moved past, grasping the manager by the collar and hauling him to his feet in one practiced motion. "You just assaulted a decorated war hero," he announced, his voice pitched for the entire dining room to hear. The words were like a match to dry tinder, whispers turned into a rising murmur of outrage. "In front of half this city," the guard continued, "and you did it while being recorded from 10 angles. The manager twisted in protest, but the guard's grip was unyielding. The waiters who'd flanked Jamal moments earlier now lingered near the wall, eyes darting anywhere but toward him. From a corner table, an elderly couple began to clap. The sound was hesitant at first, but others joined until the applause became a wall of noise that filled the dining room. Jamal adjusted his sleeve, the trident tattoo catching a sharp beam from the chandelier. He didn't grin, didn't nod, just let his gaze move across the crowd, pausing briefly on faces that had turned away when he'd first been targeted. Outside, red and blue flashes from a responding patrol car swept across the polished glass, painting the room in warning colors. Jamal returned to his table, crouched, and righted his fallen plate. He looked at the ribeye, its juices now cooled into dark streaks, and slid it aside. "Some things," he said quietly, "aren't worth finishing." The applause ebbed into a weighted hush, the kind that follows when a truth too big to ignore has been dragged into the light. He placed a folded bill beneath the bread plate, more than enough to cover the meal and then some. As he walked toward the door, the guard stepped aside and gave a nod that carried more respect than any metal could. The night air met him like an old friend, crisp, carrying the scent of salt from the harbor. He breathed it in, each step away from the restaurant echoing the choice he'd made long before tonight, to meet ignorance with strength, not spite. Inside, the man who had tried to force him to kneel was now facing a different kind of reckoning, one that wouldn't fade when the diners left. For those who had watched, the image of a Navy SEAL standing his ground without raising his voice would replay in their minds, a quiet reminder that respect is earned through character, not demanded through power. And somewhere, perhaps in a smaller corner of their hearts, a few would remember how quickly the mighty can kneel. True strength isn't measured by how loudly you fight back, but by how you choose to stand when someone tries to take away your dignity. In moments of public humiliation, your response can either fuel their power or dismantle it entirely. Let this be a reminder to protect others when you witness injustice, because silence is a choice too. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories that uncover truth and challenge prejudice.